Welcome to the Last Minute Fantasy Scramble, the last minute fantasy Sunday scramble of the year. That's right, it is week 17. I know most of your leagues are already finished, and I've seen by the comments on a lot of these groups or whatever, anytime anyone's asking for help for week 17, most of the answers are usually find a new commissioner, find a new league. And while I agree to that sentiment to a little bit, we're still here to help. And whether your championship is week 16 or week 17 or both, you can still tune in, ask questions, and we're going to answer them either way. That being said, my name is Kevin K-Mac McCartney. Alongside me today, we got the whole crew here. We have John Viveros, we have Bud Stanio, and lastly, we have Bobby Digital Janice, and I need to take this moment to congratulate you, sir. You did beat me in the Fantasy Football Championship in the league we are in. Even though I managed to win in all my other leagues, that one still hurt. But congrats, Bobby.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
All right, so we haven't been able to talk to you since last Sunday, so just want to do a quick recap of some of those prime time games, starting with Sunday Night Football. And John, what were your thoughts on that Packers-Titans game? Both of those primetime games were not the prettiest, but great for fantasy if you had to select a group of guys. But John, what are your thoughts on that Packers-Titans game on Sunday night?
Yeah, definitely very fantasy-friendly games here for certain players. A lot of people they had great games from Ryan Tannehill. Weeks 14 and 15, 14 week 16 he did not show up for you. Struggled a lot against that Packers defense. Something you don't hear very often. 2 picks, only 121 yards. Couldn't really get anything. He did have the rushing touchdown, which saved the day a little bit. Derrick Henry, bell cow like he is, 23 carries, 98 yards. Couldn't find the end zone, unfortunately, though. The Packers side, though, you had your studs outside of Aaron Jones, who still had a respectable day with 94 yards. A.J. Dillon came out to, who knows, maybe in a deeper league, someone that carried them to a title. But Devontae Adams proving once again that he is probably and most definitively the best receiver in football. 11, 142, 3 touchdowns. Absolutely unreal stat line. Aaron Rodgers completed 21 passes, 11 of them, more than half of the target share went to Devontae Adams. Rodgers showed out once again himself. 231, 4 touchdowns, very big game. I definitely was disappointed in Tennessee. They tried to get the running game going, and they just didn't really do much with it, unfortunately. Other than that, though, I mean, like I said, from Green Bay, you got your studs. They showed out for you, and they probably led you to a title if you had Devontae Adams or Aaron Rodgers, or if you had the stack, you definitely won the league.
Yep. Playing against Devontae Adams was tough last week, but we did have a game on Monday night where, if you know our show, a couple of us are really big fans of this guy. Josh Allen showed out, maybe a little too much since they pulled him out early. But, Bud, what'd you think of your Bills' beatdown of the Patriots on Monday night?
Yeah, we had a game on Monday. All right. I was pretty high going into this game. It turned out the way I thought it was going to be. Ended up being a lot of league winners for some people, myself included. Josh Allen specifically was my quarterback. I also had the Bills defense. But yeah, so Josh Allen had a 320-yard day and 4 touchdowns. It was his 8th 300-plus yard game this season. So if you play in a league that gives the premium, once you crack 300, like I do, that's bonus points there. So that was pretty encouraging. But also Stephon Diggs. I was seeing a lot of teams that were posting their lineups in the group specifically, and they were saying, they were running a Josh Allen Stephon Diggs stack, and Stephon Diggs had 3 of those touchdowns, and that's pretty telling. And 9 receptions, 145 yards. He's putting up the same numbers he has been basically most of the season. But with touchdowns. So it's been, that was really good. There wasn't really too much on the running game side. Zach Moss was getting some work. So that's pretty encouraging. And so the Bills also pulled off the first sweep of the Patriots since 99. So it's been, 21 years since since that's happened. there was something else I had pulled up here. I wanted to tell you guys. Oh, here we go. So Diggs has become the third player in the 51-year history of the AFC East to top 110 receptions and 1,400 yards. The other two were Wes Welker and Marvin Harrison. So, like, he's in good company with the other receiver names. We talk about this all the time. The trade between Minnesota and Buffalo has been mutually great because they used the Bills pick to get Justin Jefferson, but Stephon Diggs is like really balling out with Buffalo, and Buffalo's offense is super high powered. I'm not trying to be super high on them just because I'm a fan of them, but a lot of people were knocking Josh Allen before his season has even started, and now they're retracting. They're kind of shying away from what they said, and they're kind of admitting they're wrong. But I don't even think any of us really saw this coming. We put a lot of eggs into the Josh Allen basket. It did pay off. He has become a better passer. He's completing almost 70% of his passes right now. Accuracy was a big thing. He's able to do the deep ball. He's able to make good decisions, but it really showed in this game. The Patriots really couldn't get going on any side of the ball. Defense was really hampered by injuries. Cam Newton performed really poorly. Damian Harris didn't do anything. Sony Michel didn't do much of anything. Jacoby Myers had like 4 receptions or so for like 40, 50 yards. But yeah, I mean, Patriots definitely have some work to do this offseason if they want to, stay competitive in a conference that really needs it, is really starting to ascend between the Dolphins and the Bills. So you hope that they can make it competitive at least, but we'll have to see.
All right, so that brings us to Week 17. And, there are a lot of people not playing this week. This is why a lot of leagues choose not to play on Week 17. But we're here to answer your questions anyways. And we're going to start by taking a look at the slowly coming out inactive report. One of the bigger names coming out, Devontae Parker, officially is active for Week 17. Yeah, the Dolphins got a lot to play for against Bud's Buffalo Bills. Other names, Allen Robinson is not going to be on the injury report for Week 17, so he looks like he's going to be good to go. But Bobby, why don't you take us away with the rest of that injury news and give us some names that are just being those healthy Week 17 scratches.
Yeah, we'll start with the Chiefs and the Steelers are the main 2 teams that are pretty much resting. We know the big 3. Well, Kelsey still wasn't on the injury report, but you'd have to think he's not going to play much. Tyreek Hill, Patty Mack, Clyde Edwards-Helaire all out. Sammy Watkins out as well. And then for the Steelers, Big Ben out along with some key defensive guys and some offensive linemen. So, if you're relying on one of those Steeler wide receivers, you still may have to start them, but, you definitely have to temper expectations there. Dalvin Cook's out. He had a personal issue going on, so we hope the best for him. He's out against the Lions, so Madison should draw the start there. Galladay's out. That's a huge surprise. And then, just some other names. Cole Beasley's out for the Bills. James Robinson's out. Julio Jones, Christian McCaffrey, and Mike Davis are all out as well. And then one big thing for the Rams, Jared Goff is out. John Wolford is going to get the start in a key game against Arizona. So, you definitely have to temper your expectations for those Rams receivers. And Cam Akers, with that high ankle sprain, he's going to try to give it a go, they said, because it's a must-win game. But you have to think that he's not going to see a lot of snaps. You would think Malcolm Brown's going to be in the mix there with Henderson being out. And then for the Cardinals, Kyler Murray is going to play. He was a little banged up heading into the week, but it's a must-win game again, so a lot of guys are going to gut through. And speaking of that, gutting through on the Sunday night game, the Washington football team, Terry McLaurin and Antonio Gibson both are going to play. McLaurin has really been limited with that high ankle, so I don't think he's going to really do much, but he's going to be out there playing for a must-win game. And for the Eagles, Carson Wentz, interesting note, is a healthy scratch. That's probably the last nail in the coffin in Philadelphia. And Miles Sanders out as well, so Boston Scott should head their backfield.
All right. So we do have some questions rolling in. Nick asks, Madison or Jeff Wilson? John, I'll let you take this one.
Madison or Jeff Wilson. I think you roll Madison here. I like that matchup against Detroit a little better.
Yeah, especially with Cook out, Madison is the way to go. You know what time it is, guys?
Uh-oh.
I guess not. It's time for little rapid fire breakdowns. All right, this first one, we have the Ravens and the Bengals. John, it's yours.
Ravens need a win to get into the postseason. Bengals don't really need to have anything to play for, honestly. If you're still playing, like I said, you gotta start your Baltimore Ravens here. Start Lamar Jackson. Like I said, they need to win. Hollywood Brown, J.K. Dobbins, definitely looking like a good start as well. On Cincinnati's side, maybe T. Higgins. I don't know. Could be close though.
All right, bud. We got
really
the
like anyone
Steelers
on
and the
the Bengals.
Browns.
Yeah, this is an important one, mostly for the Browns. Pittsburgh is pretty much expressed they don't care what seed they got by sitting Ben Roethlisberger. So if you are playing, keep in mind that it's going to be Mason Rudolph. James Conner might get some work. Some of the receivers might get work. They may be in a limited fashion. On the other side, Browns must win. Baker Mayfield's going to play.
All right, Bobby, you got the Dolphins at the Bills.
Yeah, start with Miami. K-Mac, you mentioned Parker's active. I love Parker and Gaskin this week. Well, I love Gaskin a lot. As for Buffalo, Bud might be able to tell us a little bit more, but I'm seeing they only have 7 offensive linemen healthy and only 2 QBs healthy, active, including Josh Allen. So that tells me that Buffalo is going to try to play their starter. So I think you can roll out Allen and Diggs and on the Buffalo side of things in a pretty important game, especially for Miami.
All right, so this next game is the Jets at the Patriots. John.
The end of the Adam Gase era. Yes. Jets gonna go into New England, absolutely smack this awful Patriots team. Jets are +3. I know we don't really talk betting, but smash that +3. It's gonna be a solid for the Jets. Don't
Red
again
hot
on the fantasy side.
Jets.
Don't start any Jets. Red hot, 3 in a row potentially. Jameson Crowder is basically your must start on the Patriots side. Jacoby Myers probably going to bounce back after his poor week last week. He torched the Jets the first time they played on Monday Night Football.
All right, bud.
Cam,
We have the
season's probably over
Packers
anyway.
at the Bears.
Wait, the Packers at the Bears? Oh man, dude, you're mixing them up on me. I was following the list. Okay, no, that's good. So yeah, the Bears are going to be looking to be competitive here. Trubisky's been playing pretty well. David Montgomery's been playing pretty well, and A-Rob over there. So those are some good guys to keep an eye on, of course. Aaron Rodgers is still running for MVP. So he's probably going to ball out. Look for him and Devontae Adams.
All
So
right, Bobby,
they're
we
gonna
got the
give
Cowboys at
Adams
the
a break.
Giants.
Yeah, Bud mentioned earlier before our podcast, it's going to be pretty nasty winter weather up there in Jersey. Fantasy options, I mean, I guess I get you can roll out maybe the Cowboy wide receivers, but it's going to be tough in that weather against a pretty good Giants defense. Maybe Sterling Shepard as well, but I don't trust anybody else in this game in an NFC East battle.
All right, John, we have the Falcons at the Bucks.
Not really sure what we're going to get out of the Falcons. Bruce Arians said everyone's playing. We'll see what happens. Bruce is definitely the one to lie. Again, though, you're probably safe to start. Majority of the receivers. Maybe we're going to see a little Rojo if he can go. On the Falcons side, Matt Ryan, Todd Gurley, Calvin Ridley, usual suspects. Even in a tough matchup, I think this one will be sneakily high scoring. We'll see what happens, though.
All right, bud. Now you got the Vikings and the Lions.
Ah, there it is. All right. So yeah. Neither team is a playoff competing team. They're just finishing out the season here. Dalvin Cook is not there, so we've seen the end of his season because he has personal matters to attend to. So Madison will be playing. Expect Jefferson and Thielen to get some work. Kirk Cousins could be a sneaky DFS play. Matt Stafford is playing on the other side.
All right, Bobby,
but
the
he's hurt.
Raiders and the Broncos.
Yeah, in real life, this doesn't have any playoff implications, but I think this could be a pretty high-scoring game fantasy-wise. Both defenses aren't very good, so I love guys on either side. I love Josh Jacobs, Darren Waller, and even Nelson Aguilar this week, as well as on the Broncos side, no Philip Lindsay again. So Melvin Gordon, I think, is in a great spot here, and Noah Fant you can start confidently for Denver as well.
All right, John, we have the Jaguars. We have the Colts. What do you got?
Colts still not guaranteed a playoff spot yet. Still need to get a win at the lowly Jacksonville Jaguars. Jags fans, don't worry. This is the last time you're going to see a quarterback named Gardner Minshew start for probably ever. Enjoy the last start and look forward to some Trevor Lawrence action. Fantasy wise, start all your Colts. You need them. They're going to score a lot. They did lose this game, week 1, looking for a little revenge at home and to secure that playoff spot.
All right, the only team to lose to the Jaguars. Bud, you got the Chargers and the Chiefs.
Yeah, so on the Chiefs side of things, looks like Mahomes is playing, but I wouldn't expect that all game. But players out include Tyreek Hill, CEH, Sammy Watkins. They say Kelsey's going to play. Bobby said it earlier. I expect him to be limited. But other side, yeah, Herbert's looking pretty good. Keenan Allen is out, though, so he's going to have to throw to the other guys there. And maybe
all right, Bobby, we got the Cardinals at the Rams.
Yeah, in real life, this is a play-in game for either team. Again, the Rams going with John Wolford. Cam Akers talked about the running back situation. I can't trust him or Malcolm Brown in this one because of his uncertain health. And you still have to roll out Woods and Kupp, but you got to, again, temper expectations. McVay's a good coach. He might scheme them up. As for the Cardinals, I like Murray, I like Drake, and I like Hopkins, even in a tough matchup against the Rams. I think it could be a low-scoring game.
All right, John, we have the Seahawks at the Niners.
Seahawks, they do have the playoff spot grabbed. They're trying to they could potentially get up to that 1 seed as well with a little bit of help. Definitely looking to end the season strong. You got to start Russ, start Carson, start Metcalf. Metcalf should eat up this very underperforming San Francisco 49ers defense. San Francisco side, I mean, Jeff Wilson's an okay start. Brandon Ayuk probably should perform pretty well against the
All
weak
right, Bud, we have
Seattle
the Saints and the
they
Panthers.
are coming in.
Okay, so there are no running backs for the New Orleans Saints. Alvin Kamara got COVID-19, and it affected everybody else. So Ty Montgomery is going to be the lead guy there. If that's something you want to mess around with, whether it's season long or DFS, that could be a good option. I do know he's pretty cheap on DFS. But otherwise,
all right, Bob, you got the Titans and the Texans.
Go and Google Derrick Henry highlights versus the Texans in the last game of the year. Last year, he had 211 yards and 3 touchdowns. They're going to ride Derrick Henry to the finish line. Tennessee, this is going to be a blowout. So I love all of the Tennessee players, A.J. Brown, Corey Davis, Jonnu Smith, Tannehill. As for the Texans, I do like Watson here as well. David Johnson's been playing really well. I like him. He's catching the ball now since B.O.B. has left. And I like Brandon Cooks as a start here also in a fantasy-friendly game.
Last but not least, the last regular season game, football team at the Eagles.
This is probably the closest thing to a game of the week we're going to get. I think it should be a pretty exciting game, honestly. Jalen Hurts against Alex Smith. Alex Smith looking to sew up that comeback player of the year. Fantasy-wise, though, maybe start Scary Terry. Gibson is a go, or he's questionable. He's got the Q. So if he's starting, you got to roll him out. He should do very well against Philadelphia. On Philly's side,
and
I think I like
that
Hurts.
is
I like
time.
for a
No
decent game.
Philly side. No time to talk about them. Your time is up. Now that's over. John, do you have any games that you want to talk about a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say really, because it's just so bleh. I guess we can talk about. Maybe talk about the Chiefs and Chargers, I guess. I'll never say no to talking about Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert absolutely balled out the first time they played week 2. I imagine he'll do it again. And I think they might actually grab this win. Obviously, they're starting to have a lot of their studs going. The Chiefs, even with that offense, they probably won't play most of the game. I think Patty Mahomes is only going to play 1 or 2 series. CH is out. I don't anticipate the Chiefs to show actually show a lot going into the postseason.
All right. Wake asks, Bears versus Packers. Who you got? Who wants to take this one?
Sure, Packers.
Yeah, I'll go to Sam on that front. They traditionally play each other very tough. And the Bears defense could do that. It might be able to get to Aaron Rodgers, maybe. Aaron Rodgers has a good offensive line, but they did just lose a guy. I forgot. I don't have the name in front of me, but they did just lose an offensive lineman for the rest of the season. So that would be a little weakened on that front. But I mean, yeah, the Packers are playing pretty good ball right now, and if everybody is playing, which we assume that they are, they're going to win, especially uh, in a rival matchup because I think it's like one of the longest like rivalries. This is like game 200 something. So they do play pretty often. They traditionally play each other pretty tough. So I do expect the Packers though to pull it out.
Yeah, and that is David
Yeah, and it is.
Bakhtiari, a big blow to their offensive line.
Yep.
And yeah, like you said, the Chicago Bears, you can't count them out. I know they're not the most dependable team, but they do have talent, and they are a team that could win any given week. So, yeah, just keep an eye out for
And
that.
they still have
What were we
something to
saying?
play for too.
Yeah.
No, I was just saying that they still have something to play for. Like they're still alive. Like they're currently in the seventh seed right now. So if they win, Arizona wins, and the Rams win, that causes, or no, sorry, if they win and Arizona wins, that puts three teams at 9-7. So that'll definitely be very interesting. So but the Packers still have something to play for as well because like they haven't clinched the bye yet. So it should be a very interesting game. Both teams need a win.
All right, Bobby, we have Kenny asking in, who asks, who has the better game, Kirk Cousins or Justin Herbert?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Justin Herbert again here. I'm with John. And a quick note on that game as well. Actually, I was going to segue into what I was going to mention about two things about that game. One, going along the lines of Justin Herbert, 28 pass touchdowns, the most among any rookie, or the most touchdowns by a rookie QB in NFL history. And you got to think that's missing a game and with a bad coaching staff. So I'm with John, man. I can't wait to see what the future holds for this guy, especially if they bring in like a new coach. We talked about maybe Eric Bieniemy a few podcasts ago. That would be awesome. With the weapons that they have there. So yeah, I'm going to take Justin Herbert as have a better game. And the other thing too is in Kansas City, if you're searching for a running back, so they said Le'Veon. We know CEH is out. They said Le'Veon Bell is going to be active, but that Darwin Thompson's going to get the bulk of the carries. I was actually a big fan of Darwin Thompson coming out last year, and I was actually drafting him a lot until they signed LaShawn McCoy, and then that kind of clogged everything up. But he's a really explosive back, and I think he's going to get fed today. So if you're looking for a running back, maybe you had Dalvin Cook or something, then I would consider Thompson there.
All right, John, Kenny's got another question. He asks, who's the better start at tight end, Jonnu Smith, Jared Cook, or Irv Smith Jr.?
Ooh, those are some good ones. Uh, Jared Cook very very touchdown reliant even in a fair matchup. Irv Smith's been eating a little bit though. I think I like that. I'll go Irv Smith. I like that matchup against Detroit. Basically, I'm picking on Detroit all week. If it seems like today.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk about that New Orleans Saints for a minute, just while we have some time. There have been some talks that Drew Brees may there's been rumors every year, but it seems like there's some pretty big rumors going on that this could be his last game, or his last season, and some talk about what that means for that Saints offense going into next year. But I'd like to hear your take and what you think that means for Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, and whoever's going to be the quarterback for them next year.
Yeah, I think it definitely brings them down a little bit. It just depends. It depends who they bring in. Like if they end up like trading a haul for like to like go up in the draft and grab like a Justin Fields, a Zach Martin type, that could potentially like be good. But I don't know how Sean Payton feels about like rebuilding, like completely rebuilding from scratch like that. So it depends really who they bring in. Kamara, we saw it like when Breeze went down, like he went down like his point totals went down a lot. I think he had one or two like decentish games when Breeze was out, but his value goes like skyrockets when Breeze is in because he's always checking down to him, even with Michael Thomas um, in the like active too. It definitely brings them down a little bit. This year definitely showed that they are a lot more reliant on Drew Brees than I think we actually. Well, I think a lot of us thought it was the other way around. But definitely like Kamara and Michael Thomas relied on Brees a lot more, and it was definitely noticeable fantasy wise, especially. And Michael Thomas missed a bunch of games as well too. Um, so again, it just depends where the franchise goes. Like if it is his last game, like do they roll Taysom Hill out there? Do they re-sign Jameis Winston? Do they, like I said, do they like trade like a haul to go like move up to 2 with the Jets, move up to 3 or 4 with the Dolphins or or Cincinnati, something like that, to grab that potentially like new franchise quarterback. Just a lot of wait and see, I think, as well.
All right, and now we have a big game between some of us here. That is the Dolphins at the Bills. The Bills don't really have too much more that they need to play for, but they are seeming to rolling out their starters. For the Dolphins, everything is on the line. Tua pulled again last week. Ryan Fitzpatrick coming in with his face mask being yanked down, manages to toss up that what ended up being one of the game-winning throws. And I'm curious, Bud, what you think about this Buffalo Bills Miami Dolphins match that we're going to see today.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna keep it real. Brian Flores can't escape when Tua doesn't play the way that he wants. He can't go ahead and pivot. He can't go to bullpen. There's no more of this, going to plan B. And the Bills defense is almost back to full strength, and they're playing pretty good ball, and they're defending passes pretty well. So it's going to be interesting to see how Tua performs in this. And I mean, there's a lot of speculation. There is a majority of Dolphins fans that are either for him or against him, or they're skeptical. We'll call it skeptical. So it depends how that's going to happen. Now, this has been my sentiment, the whole time. We didn't know if Josh Allen and like the rest of the guys were going to go. There was a lot of question marks on that front. I've always been the opinion that the Bills should roll them out. Somebody said it before on one of the pregame shows I'm watching right now. It might have been Cowherd, and I don't normally agree with him, but he's pulling for the Bills this season, so I'm pretty happy about that. But he said they're a division rival. Why are you going to bench your people against them? Especially when there is a chance for us to play a minor spoiler in this. We don't want a division rival to enter the playoffs and then us have to possibly play them. So we need to make their chances harder. I don't want to play the same team 3 times in a season. So the Bills do have something to play for. If the Bills win and the Steelers lose, we take the 2nd seed. So there is some significance in this game. And I mean, it's going to be tough because Dolphins have a very great defense, as we've seen. Xavier Howard has 9 interceptions on the year. He leads the league in interceptions. So that's something to be cautious about. But and also I mean, the Dolphins have a great running game too, and they could really get going against the Bills defense, because that's really been our one weakness. It's been like severely exploited, and the Kansas City game was a great example of that. I think CEH had like 130 yards rushing. It was the same thing with Darrell Henderson, I think, when we played the Rams. So I mean, if you guys could get going on that front, but I mean, otherwise, Tua is going to have to manage this game. There's no more training wheels. He's going to have to really get going. And Brian Flores can't escape this situation anymore. It was nice to have the veteran to go ahead and lean on to win you the game or to get you ahead, but Tua can't rely on the defense like he has in the past. And he's going to have to, play a tough game in the cold, and against and have to keep up with a high-powered offense. I mean, let's be clear. It's a good thing that Parker's there and he's active today, but if he doesn't develop chemistry and get going early on, it's going to be a hard battle to win. And literally, the last thing you want to do is put any of your playoff hopes on other teams, especially these other teams. They need the Browns to lose. They need the Colts to lose, and they need the Ravens to lose. And that, most of those are unlikely. Ravens play Cincinnati. Indianapolis is playing Jaguars, and Browns are playing Pittsburgh. And, that's the one they need to root for Pittsburgh. So you're rooting for a backup quarterback. And against
I'm not sure they have a kicker either.
Well, there you go. They're going to go for 2 every time. So, but I mean, and that's if they can even find the box. Cleveland has had their COVID issues and they're still missing a couple people, but they have most of their offense back.
Mason
So,
Rudolph revenge game.
Yeah, but
No, Miles Garrett revenge game.
well, the last I'm pretty sure I posted to you guys the last time Mason Rudolph played the Browns, he threw 4 interceptions. So, and I think that was the helmet game too. But
It was.
So I would be cautiously optimistic that the Browns could pull this out and get into the playoffs for the first time in however long. But it's gonna be a tough battle for them either way.
All right. I would like to hear Bobby's side of that, but we do have a question first. And, John, I'm going to let you take this. Kenny asks, last question, he swears, but it's all good. The more questions you have, the merrier. We're here to answer them all, Kenny. But Kenny asks, who's the better defense start this week, Rams or Washington?
Yeah, I'm going Washington here. There's less tape on Jalen Hurts, but that Washington defense is playing kind of insane right now. And with the Rams side, the Rams have been the better defense this whole season, but I think the Cardinals come out trying to prove something. Kyler looking for a huge game. He's had a couple lackluster games recently, kind of seen some dents in the armor. I think he's going to go into SoFi looking to prove something. And again, it's not like he's going to need many points because the Rams are going to be starting Wofford. So I do like Washington a little better. And again, Washington needs to win. If they lose, then potentially the Giants could jump them.
All right, Bobby, what have you seen out of Tua Tagovailoa that gives you any kind of confidence in this game today? Playoffs on the line. All they need to do, they win and they're in. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Bud made some good points that I agree with there. The thing with Tua is he's just a completely different type of QB than Ryan Fitzpatrick in a sense where Fitzpatrick's just going to air the ball out. He's going to take risks. He's going to go down the field. He's going to put up stats. He's going to put up yards. Tua has a very good touchdown-interception ratio. He only has 2 interceptions this year. So it's a different style of offense you run with Tua as opposed to Ryan Fitzpatrick, and I think that's going to be the key to this game. Bud mentioned about the Bills' run defense, which has been a weakness of theirs, and even last week against the Patriots before the game got out of hand, Sony Michel had 10 carries for 69 yards, almost 7 yards a carry. So I think that's really going to come down to it. When you're on the Dolphins side, I think what you have to do is ball control. You have to be able to run the ball, control time of possession, and limit the possessions that the Bills had, kind of like teams used to do against the old Peyton Manning Colts. Those were a lot of strategies they used to do against Indianapolis, is try to control the ball and keep time of possession. And that's one area Tua can be good at because he doesn't turn the ball over. He hasn't been very good in areas. The offense has been definitely stagnant at times with Tua. So that's definitely a concern. And like Bud mentioned, with that high-powered Bills offense, the last thing that you want to do is get into a shootout with them because you're not going to win that. That's not the way the Dolphins offense is designed. So as a Dolphins fan, you hope that the defense can at least just somewhat contain this Bills offense and enough to where they can, again, control the clock and run the ball effectively with Myles Gaskin. I personally think that they have to really feature Myles Gaskin. I think he has to get 25 to 30 touches in this game. And yeah, I mean, I do agree with what Colin said as well as Bud too. I think as a Buffalo fan, you have to play. You're playing for that number 2 seed, even though Pittsburgh's resting their starters. You got to keep the foot on the gas pedal, especially since they've just been playing so well. You might as well just keep it going and heading into the playoffs. And that's real quick on the playoff scenarios. Yeah, so for the Dolphins, if they lose this game, they need one of those other 4 teams to lose. And like Bud said, you don't want to rely on another team. You don't want to have to rely on other teams to lose, especially with the favorable matchups that these other teams have. So it's definitely going to be a very tough game. And the last thing is real quick too. I know me and you talked about Chan Gailey K-Mac, who I think his offensive system is designed more towards Ryan Fitzpatrick's type skill set, where they go spread offense, a lot of quick slants, stuff like that. I think if they want to go with Tua in the future, I think he can succeed with the right type of system, and I think we need to change our offensive coordinator, offensive philosophy a little bit. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the Bills-Dolphins game as a Dolphins fan.
Absolutely, and Tua's more of one of those guys that you'd like to see him run the ball a little bit more, even being a little bit wary of his hip injury that he's may or may not have been nursing since the beginning of the year. And another thing you'd like to see is him really air it out more. Like, you've seen signs of that in college. You know he has that potential, but I still think that his biggest throw downfield at all this year has been like 30 yards or something like that. I don't have the numbers right ahead of me. So seeing him in a different offensive system would definitely be good, because you're right. That whole offense, you could tell it was built around Ryan Fitzpatrick, and you could see when he's in, there's more of a flow with it. Yeah, the only time that Tua is really succeeding in that offense is when he's trying to conform to, the quick slants and the running the ball, and it just doesn't seem like the kind of football that is meant, like that you see with him in Alabama, where you saw him playing like as one of the best college quarterbacks ever. So we'll see where that goes from there. But while you were talking about some of these other matchups, I did want to go back to that Steelers-Browns game. That is a huge game, and the Browns, it would be the most Cleveland Browns thing for them to do after their best season since their team started back up again in Cleveland. And seeing it, it would just be so Cleveland for them to just miss the playoffs after all this. That being said, John, I'd like to hear your thoughts more onto that game and the rematch, Garrett versus Rudolph.
Yeah, I mean Garrett lost. Like, I mean, they like last year the Browns were definitely the sexy pick. A lot of people were like, oh yeah, they like all these, like, they acquire Odell, they get this new head coach. They're gonna be like the sexy pick to like actually perform very well. But then they didn't, like. And I've said it before. I said Odell's a cancer, and I think that definitely proved it. Like, Baker was great before him, struggled with him in the lineup. Tears his ACL this year, starts popping off again. Um, so, but yeah, like, this would be the most Browns thing to happen to them, that they lose. They lose to a Steelers team that is actually trying to not play. The Steelers, they definitely struggled. Didn't really get a bye week this year. They're kind of using this as their bye week, because with no top two bye, only the top seed gets a bye. There's really no need to play for. Um, Whether with the Steelers, they don't want to. Do they want to go for like a potentially like a home playoff game against Buffalo, or do they try to just, like, what, they chance it, they go into Buffalo and just see like whose defense stands out better. But again, like, this, the Steelers are not trying to win this game. T.J. Watt, Marquise Pouncey, Ben Roethlisberger, Cameron Hayward, Terrell Edmonds, Chris Boswell, Cassius Marsh, Eric Ebron, Joe Hayden, all out, not playing like at all. Well, Hayden was positive. I think Hayden would have played had he not tested positive for COVID. But regardless, like the Browns should win this game. It should not even be close. I think even the like the line in Vegas has the Browns. Browns are -9. So, like, yeah, like, home favorites. Definitely looking huge for them. Yeah, but like I said, it's gonna be super weird. But it would be the most Browns thing in the world to 10-5, lose the game 10-6, and then miss the postseason because the other four teams that had to win won.
All right, and it wouldn't be week 17 without the NFC East still being up for grabs. And, yeah.
Oh, we have to talk about this.
Do we really have to talk about this?
Bobby, let's hear your thoughts on these final NFC East matchups, and if you think that any of these teams can play spoiler in the playoffs.
I really honestly don't, because looks like the Bucks have that 5 seed locked up. So whoever wins the NFC East is going to be playing the Bucks, hosting the Bucks in the playoffs, and I just think that my money would be on Brady in the playoffs in that game at least. I mean, all of these teams that just frankly are very mediocre. They're not very good. Dallas has been playing better as of late, but without Dak, and again, I'm not really a big fan of Mike McCarthy either, and how bad that defense is. It's going to be tough in the playoffs, especially if you can't stop the run, let alone play against the Giants, who have their issues of their own. They have been playing harder under Joe Judge, and their defense has been pretty solid this year, but their play calling has been very questionable on the offensive side of the ball. They do have talent at wide receiver and running back, especially with Barkley when he comes back, but Daniel Jones has been really struggling this year. Maybe they might have to look for another QB. That's going to be their biggest issue. And then for Washington, Alex Smith looking like he's going to come back. I actually really like Washington in terms of how their team's looking going into the future. I think they just need that good young quarterback to go around, because their defense is pretty good. And they have a lot of great pieces on offense with McLaurin, Logan Thomas emerging, and we all of us here, well, at least I know Bud, we love Antonio Gibson as well. That guy's going to be a stud in the making, and Ron Rivera is a good football coach. So I just think they just have questionable quarterback play. So I think Washington is the best team of these three teams that are still alive. But I wouldn't be surprised if they lost to Philly. And I don't see any of these teams winning in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely interesting with within the NFC East side. Like we haven't really seen a bad.
I think we lost John there.
All right. Well, until he comes back, I'll jump in. I do want to talk about Washington.
Beastquake when they actually.
Oh,
Oh,
there he
he's
is.
back. All right.
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't know what's happening. Yeah, I seem to be having some problems over here. I'm sorry. No, I was just saying that like we haven't really seen a bad team win a division since Seattle with like the Beastquake when they upset New Orleans, and then they were on their way to winning that their second playoff game as well. But I would with Tampa, like Tampa's not they're not locked into the 5 seed. If they lose and the Rams win, the Rams will jump them, and so I think there might be some added incentive. Like, would you rather as like going to Seattle is difficult regardless, but would you rather go to Seattle and place that poor secondary, or like go to Washington and like face that front seven? Tampa's offensive line is not great. Like if Tampa wins and Washington wins, like that front seven of Washington's could definitely cause problems. Like Brady doesn't like to get hit. Brady doesn't like to get touched. Like I could see Washington upsetting Tampa if those two wins happen.
It's definitely possible. This is the NFL.
Yeah. I do want to jump in about Washington though. Also, like I agree with what John just said. Um, I do think that Washington's defense is really good, and Alex Smith playing today definitely helps things, at least for now. And Terry McLaurin is going to play today. But I really, of course, we really like Terry McLaurin. Antonio Gibson is good. Even J.D. McKissick has really shown up and shined. I am super high on Logan Thomas going into next season. I do think he's going to be a great tight end option, and somebody to look at and keep an eye on, especially depending on who their quarterback might be. And Riverboat Ron being over there and being the coach, we've already seen this team, slowly right the ship. Get Dwayne Haskins out. He doesn't want to be a professional in that sense. He's not abiding by team rules and the rules that the league has been putting in. And honestly, he's just a subpar quarterback. And maybe he finds a home. He's changed agents already. Most teams are looking at this, his work ethic, and I don't think he really goes anywhere. If he does, he's going to be a backup. But they're getting things fixed and correct over there, and I do think Washington's on the up and up. And also, as far as like the game slate goes tonight, I think that game's going to be awesome to watch. It's all eyes on that game. It's all eyes on that game because the early games, everything is going to be dependent. So like, if Dallas ends up beating the Giants, then they need Washington to lose to Philly. So everybody's looking to see what happens with that game for the division. And just to kind of sidetrack on that, apparently there is an extra $1 million incentive for Andy Dalton today if Dallas wins and they advance to the playoffs. So he's playing. He's gonna be playing. And I mean, if you look at what Dallas's offense has really been doing the last few weeks, they're finally starting to click a little bit. Zeke had probably one of his season-saving performances in terms of fantasy last week. He helped me out. He got me almost 20 points. He's going. The receivers are connecting. Michael Gallup is been beasting. And actually, a guy in my league, he took my buddy, he took we have a point bonus for the most points in one season. It's between me and him. I dropped 153 and I still didn't catch him because he started all three of Dallas's receivers last week in his third place matchup. and he ended up getting like 167 points or something.
Well,
But it paid off. Everybody got work. Everybody got fed over there. And I mean, if that's the same case today against the Giants, they do have a tougher secondary to face, and a bad weather game. But it's very possible that they could get going and they could win this game. But like I said, Washington and Philly playing each other, it's going to be good because I mean, a good offense going against a good defense, and then also a good offense going against a good defense on the other side. Both are okay. I mean, Philly's ranked a little less, but Jalen Hurts definitely helps things over there. But it's going to be an exciting game to watch, just in terms of football, not even fantasy. Just because all eyes are going to be on that game. It's the last game of Week 17, and it's the last Sunday night football game of the regular season, and there's a ton of playoff implications for that division, so it's going to be fun to watch.
all right. And one last note on the Eagles. The news came out over the last couple of days that it looks like they are going to be sticking around with Doug Peterson. Carson Wentz doesn't like that. You already kind of figured that his time in Philly was up, but he has asked for a trade. He is not on the active roster for today. What does this mean for the future of Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson, Bobby?
Well, I mean, it definitely means Wentz is on his way out. That's what it looks like. I think when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, and even though Wentz went down that year, he was having an MVP type year that first half. And the difference on the coaching staff was they had Frank Reich and John DeFilippo, and Reich especially and Carson Wentz kind of developed like a really kind of close friendship. They had a lot of things in common. They seemed to be really kind of connecting, and that type of stuff you don't hear that much about that, or you don't maybe think that's as much of a big deal as it is in a lot of situations. And I think that had a lot to do with it. And I think Peterson and Wentz kind of just grew apart from each other, and that can sometimes result in poor play. I still believe in Carson Wentz. I still think he has a lot of talent left. I still think he can be a solid, capable NFL quarterback. And as for Doug Peterson, I don't know what you guys think, but I'm not a fan. I don't like his play calling. I think he just does some stupid stuff like the 2-point going for 2 and all that type of stuff. He doesn't run the ball enough. I don't think he doesn't give Miles Sanders enough work. I think he needs to go. As an Eagles, if I were an Eagles fan, I'd be kind of disappointed that he's sticking around. But I think we all do. We all are a fan of Jalen Hurts here. What do you guys think about the Peterson situation?
Jalen Hurts saved his job 100%. The way how he came out, like even though it was so late in the season, probably should have moved on to him earlier. But Peterson basically showed like, see, I'm playing with this is my new quarterback. We drafted him. He's showing out a little bit now, so it's like, let me stick around with him. Peterson 100% saved his job, and the GMs as well, in my opinion.
Yeah, and with Hurts under center, it definitely looks like the future might be bright for Philadelphia. It's nice to see one of those quarterbacks who goes out and really shows his potential in the first couple of games. And, that was Hurts from the get-go. And things look bright for him. As far as Carson Wentz, it's hard to see where he'll fall. Seems like the perfect fit for the Chicago Bears. Maybe they'll get him and Dwayne Haskins next year. That sounds about right for them. But, yeah, other than that, future is up for both of those guys. So, we only have a few minutes left, which means it is time for our final breakout player of the weekend. Now, we've been doing this pretty much every show since we have started, where all of us will go around and we'll pick a player, and we go off of ESPN's PPR projections, and we each choose one player who we think will go over those projections. Last week, Bobby won with his pick of Devontae Adams, who went well above and beyond expectations, and just had a season-winning performance, or a championship-winning performance. So now it's week 17. A lot of players are out. A lot of players can't prove themselves this week. And as far as our breakout players go, we like to keep track of them to see who does the best throughout the season. And to give you our rankings of how we're doing now, Bud is in 4th place with 2 wins throughout the season.
Woohoo!
I am in 3rd place with 6. John is at 8. Bobby is at 9. Bobby can clinch victory with anybody else but John winning. If John wins, he'll tie it, And I think we decided somewhere along the line that our tiebreaker was who had the best Masters pick, and I have no idea how that went.
I don't even remember that one.
Same.
On the last minute Masters Scramble that we had. Very big show. Bonus episode if you look in our Spotify feed. That being said, it is time for Breakout Player of the Weekend. Bobby, since you won last week, we're going to start with you. Who do you like for your Breakout Player of the Weekend?
Yeah, I'm doing it. I think everybody covets this guy every week. I'm going to take Justin Jefferson. Last week, the Detroit Lions just gave up, and that was all I needed to see for this week in this matchup against Detroit, especially with no Dalvin Cook. Maybe they'll look to air it out a little bit more. He is projected for a pretty good amount, 17.8 PPR points. I think he closes out his incredible rookie season with a bang here, and I'll take Justin Jefferson for 30+ today.
All right, John, since it's mainly you against him, who is your pick for Breakout Player of the Weekend?
I'm going a little under the radar today. Building on his last couple performances, I really like what I saw. But I'm going with our homer pick. We're going with Jamison Crowder. Last week, absolutely popped off. Had 2 touchdowns, 7 receptions, 92 yards. Against New England, he had a really pretty touchdown. That was also his first game back from injury. Only had he was two receptions on 2 targets. He's completely healthy. I think he eats a little bit more, especially against New England, and potentially Sam Darnold's last game. He's hopefully going to send him off with a nice little bang.
All right, going for the homer pick. Wow, so predictable. I'm going Tua.
Boo.
All right, Tua.
Boo.
This is do or die. Tua or die for you now. You're a winner. This is your time to win. Prove that you could make it into the playoffs. Training wheels are completely off. Literally, your training wheels have COVID-19. So this is time for you to step up, show what you're made of. Devontae Parker's back. Gesicki's back. No excuses. It's time to ball out. It's time against the best team in the division, possibly one of the best teams in the conference. You're up against the Buffalo Bills. Division game. It's time to show what you're made of, Tua, and I believe in you. And that was definitely not biased. Bud?
All right. So I got one for you, and you're going to like this. I'm going to go Josh Allen here for my breakout.
No,
player.
he didn't. No, he
I
didn't.
knew you were doing it.
Yep. I got my Allen jersey on right now, and I'm ready. And it's pretty much crystal clear what's going to happen here today. And Tua is not going to be the breakout player. It's going to be Josh Allen. Last time they played, Josh Allen threw for 415 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Fluke.
He hung. Yeah. It was only a 50-point fluke in week 2 for me. Yeah, pretty bad. But he's only projected for 14 points in ESPN. Probably because they think he's going to sit, which I do think is going to happen. But I think he's going to hang a couple touchdowns.
You think they'll sit him when they're down by 7 in the third quarter?
No way. They're going to try to win this. If they win this game, it's 6-0 in the AFC East this year. So it's all the bragging rights. It's all and it's also a record game. I mean, Josh Allen is already crushing records, and he's also starting to slowly climb up in quarterback starts. With the game today, Josh Allen will tie Tyrod Taylor for the 3rd most starts in the post-Kelly era at 43. There have been 20 quarterbacks who have started games for the Bills since Jim Kelly retired in 1996. Kind of like you guys. You guys can't find a quarterback either.
Something interesting to note also, Bud, you probably do know about this, is that the state of New York is allowing Buffalo to have fans for the playoffs.
Yep.
So are you telling me a 2nd seed wouldn't be a lot better? You get 2 home playoff games instead of just 1. I think the Bills come out and guns blazing. Like Bills are going to hang 40 on the Dolphins today.
Dude.
So if the Dolphins can keep up is the big question.
Yeah, absolutely. The fan base is insane up there. And
Bills
they're only allowing 6,800 people in a stadium that sits 71,000.
How many broken tables are there going to be?
A lot.
68,000. Every single Buffalo fan in attendance will break a table.
but yeah, so I mean they're only allowed that many, but they said, like, I follow them on Twitter, of course, so I get notifications. But they were like, okay, tickets are up. Go ahead and get them. And then they're like, okay, tickets are gone in like an hour. They immediately sold out. And I mean, they're going to be there and they're going to raise hell and they're going to make noise. Yeah, it'd be super, super beneficial to have them at Bill Stadium up there. And, regardless of who they play. So there is a lot to play for. The numbers are there. And the franchise as a whole, since the Pegulas have taken over, and the reshaping with Sean McDermott and Brandon Bean being in there, they just extended both of those guys. Like, this is going to be the team going forward. This is going to be, the franchise as a whole. And I mean, why not just blow the doors off, regardless of what's going on? I mean, you can only ever go up, and it's better to go up than go backwards. You know what I mean? So there is a lot to play for, and there's plenty of incentive. Both of these teams are going to play really hard. I'm really looking forward to the game, and I'm really looking forward to the smack talk, because it always comes, and then everybody gets quiet after the Bills win.
Yeah, well, I don't think that's happening today. The Dolphins are just too good. They're winners. This is 2 a time.
I might have to audible. To Sam Darnold as a quarterback just because you guys picked both of your quarterbacks. I'm wearing my Darnold. Got the Darnold jersey on today for the last time. Darnold's last ride today.
All right, Bobby, it's
Justin
not too
Fields.
late. You want to switch to your homer pick also?
I'm tempted to take Myles Gaskin. I think he's going to have a huge game. I think the Dolphins are going to gash y'all boys on the ground, but I'm going to stick with JJ.
Are you doing it? You going Gaskin?
No, man, I got too much at stake here. I'm going with my guy JJ. I'm going with
All
him.
you need is any of us three to win. What, you don't think that Tua's going to win you the breakout player of the week championship?
No, I can't pick the same one as you, though.
No, but all I need to do is win, and you win. Anyone has to win except for John,
that's
and you
true.
win.
Yeah, no, you're right, but that's true.
You don't have faith
I mean,
in
I
Tua?
think Gaskin's going to have a better fantasy day than Tua.
I don't know. We'll see about that. All right.
Nah, we'll stick with Crowder.
I like that pick, though. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So it all comes down to this: Bobby, me, or Bud wins, and Bobby wins the breakout player championship. John wins, and he ties, and I'm not really sure where we go from there. But
maybe if we do a playoff show, maybe like me and John could pick a breakout player out of the playoff games for next week.
There we go. We'll do that. So yeah, that we are doing a playoff show sometime next week. We're not quite sure when it'll be yet, but just stay tuned.
That's gonna be fun.
We are going to recap the fantasy season, and we're going to preview the playoffs because as football fans, we're excited either way for what comes for the playoffs. Still dynasty leagues rolling around out there. We have some playoff DFS betting, all sorts of fun stuff going on. So we're still paying attention. We'll still talk about these playoff games, and yeah, we're excited, especially since one or two of our teams might be in there. That being said, this is our last Sunday Scramble. This has been a really fun season, a fun ride along with you guys, and we really appreciate you listening week in and week out. And we're glad to help any way we can, answer any of your questions, and try to prepare you best to hopefully help to win some of you guys some fantasy football championships. Between us here talking right now, we won 6 fantasy football championships ourselves. I know me personally, to help win my 2. Just being able to do this every week has really helped, and listening to the inside of these guys. So I appreciate working with you guys, and we are definitely going to be back for next season, bigger and better than ever. We still got another show left, so make sure to check us out. We are on every single podcast platform you could think of: Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, the works. We're on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook stream. Wherever you can exist on social media, just search up Last Minute Fantasy Scramble, and we will be there. So, alongside Bobby Digital Janis, John Viveros, and Bud Stanio, I'm Kevin K. Mac McCartney, and we will see you sometime next week.